with you and your feedback.
Hey, Mike. Just wanted to ask first of all about Oral Roberts. Just if you could give a little bit of a scouting report on him.
Yeah, different than anybody we've played, but similar to people we're going to play in the future. Tennessee style. Arkansas State kind of plays the same way. So kind of fortunate we have them back to back. Very, very fast. Lots of substitutions. Although they don't go really deep, they just substitute almost every dead ball. Coach Todd and I have been scouting a combined 62 years, I think we figured out. And there's some things I've seen on film I've never seen before, ever. In their rotation, the way they'll cover ball screens, the way they'll randomly press. We literally start calling it, they may blitz you. They may send all four people running at the ball. So we tried to practice under some chaotic situations. I know that they're organized. I know Coach very well. I've known her from the past. I've seen her career on the move. I know she's got them organized because they play with organization. I just can't figure it out. And I certainly don't know how, if I can't figure it out, I don't know how to prepare our team for it other than try to create as many chaotic situations in practice as we can. It is they play to their strengths. She does an amazing job of giving them freedom and confidence to play that way. And, but it's just a really hard prep. I'm glad that we have them back to back. So you can just kind of ditto this for Arkansas State as well. We can save a Zoom. It's just going to be, kind of change some names. But they have, they played Oklahoma State, a close game for a number of quarters. They put a lot of points on the board, and they force you to be a little bit unorganized and play against that. So obviously we don't play that way an awful lot the majority of the time. So it's unique.
And then I would guess, looking at them just personnel wise, I'm sorry if I mess up her last name, but Ruthie Udomo.
Udomo, yeah.
Udomo, she averages a double-double, and she had a 16 rebound game as a 6'1" guard against Tulsa.
Yeah.
Just what have you seen from her?
Unbelievable intensity. Like on her, if you don't match her effort level, you don't stand a chance. I don't care how tall you are, how strong, how many sit-ups you did that morning, or how much you can bench press. She just plays hard. She's elusive. I've had players like her in the past at different places that were undersized, but have been undersized their whole life and don't care. She's not rebounding with the top of her head. She's rebounding with how high she can jump and reach, which is high. But her effort level is amazing. It's something you hope everybody would play with, but she certainly demonstrates it. Between her and Tramble, they both played at Oklahoma State. They played at a high level. And Kelsey's done a good job, and her staff have done a good job building this roster around that. But yeah, no, she plays incredibly hard. That's the thing that jumps off the film at you. And it's just effort. If you don't match her effort and her intensity, she's going to get 16 rebounds because she goes after every single one of them like she owns it. And she's relentless in her pursuit of it. And she's unbelievably conditioned. She can play 33 minutes a night playing that way. So we've got to avoid foul trouble from our bigs, which we have yet to do in a single game yet. So I'm sure they will have a plan to attack us around the basket with those kids. Their guards are all good size. They're all about the same size outside of one of them that plays a lot, so they can switch everything. They'll switch 1 through 5, not something you traditionally be able to see. So it challenges us in lots of ways.
You brought it up, the foul trouble for your bigs. What are some of the teachable things you can point at to them right now to avoid a little bit of it?
Yeah, well, we get one a game, 94 feet from the goal. That's the first one. Eliminate that one. And now when you pick up that next one, you've only got one instead of two. Then they are both they try to please so much that they get one by just playing too hard. Like Danica got one at the end of the first quarter the other night. She was trying to go in and do what we taught, but the kid had already made the shot. So you show it to them on film and you hope they learn and they can eliminate one that way. We've had a little trouble teaching screening, when to roll, when not to roll, how to do that. That's been another one a game. So that's on me to teach it better. And then also on me maybe to call less ball screens early. Then the third piece of that is we need to work on our smaller lineup, which will particularly work in these next two games with Jenna maybe around there to alleviate them having to play cautiously with two fouls. So there's some things we've done technically. There's some things we've done schematically. But the easy answer is they just need more game reps, more at-bats. They need more at-bats. 5 games is not enough at-bats for those two kids with their experience playing here. They need more at-bats. We need to teach better, and they need to learn from the past mistakes.
Last thing I'll ask before turning it over to Evan is, whenever she has been on the court, Vera's really, you look at just y'all's numbers and it changes things. What do you think it is about her whenever she's on the court without the foul trouble that's allowing y'all to have some more success?
She guards ball screens well. She's a good ball screen defender. She does a good job of hitting her defensive box out assignment. And even though she may not get it, she may tip it to somebody. She keeps that person from getting it. The ball flows a little bit more. I still think we're better on both ends. I think when she rolls to the basket, that makes the help defense, whether that's on Kiki or Carly or Izzy, it makes them a little less decisive. So it's obvious her presence, and I don't know how deep into the analytics you've dove, but it's glaring. Minutes, you probably look at the one over on the right side of the box score. You know, there's another 10 layers that tell you the exact same thing that you found out and wherever you went, that we are better with her on the floor on both ends. It allows Jenna to be more in help and less in closeout. It all goes together. You know, we use the term man-to-man in basketball or player-to-player, depending on how sensitive you are to the language. But like, it's a bad terminology. It's a team defense, and we're a better team when she's on the floor defensively and offensively.
Cool. I guess I'll hop in. Ethan, I don't know if you have anything else there. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Great.
Awesome. First and foremost, curious how, when you talked last week about the trip out to UCLA, and you were saying you were teaching some of your players about, some of the culture of UCLA and UCLA basketball. How did they kind of, obviously, game aside, how did they react to all of that? How was that trip? How did it end up being?
When you said that, immediately took me to Wooden. We toured down Wooden Way. It's an upstairs museum of all things John Wooden. And some of the things I had to explain were just, it made me feel very old. And it made me understand that, the game is, although it's growing internationally, the history of it might not be there, but to see, the original peach basket that was on John Wooden's barns, outside of his barn, and, some of those things, to show on the banners of 7 consecutive championships, and then to tell the story for some of the kids, even like with Izzy and people who knew, I was able to say to them, hey, do you realize that under today's circumstances, John Wooden wouldn't have even been the head coach probably at UCLA to win his first championship? They had a losing record the year before. There had been NCAA and violations, not allegations, but violations, and things that under today's standards he probably wouldn't have been the coach there. Instead, he was, and they win 7 in a row and end up winning 10 I think total, and so it was neat. And then obviously the California coast, the Hollywood signs, all the luxury that they saw, the houses that we toured, and seeing the names on the sidewalk. It does remind you that although there are a lot of things changing in college athletics, there are still those moments that will never change when kids see things for the first time and experience things for the first time, and how appreciative and how grateful they are for those moments. There's still an awful lot of good about it. But the trip was amazing. And we got better. The score was obviously very lopsided. There's a lot of factors that went into that. We tried to win the game first and foremost. We didn't try to slow it down. We tried to win. We fired a bunch of threes because we knew we couldn't get to the rim. They had 4 players that probably would have played double-figure minutes that didn't even dress out. So they had to play 4 starters the entire game. And by the way, I think they're one of the best teams in the country. So all those things aside, our film was actually pretty good in spots for where we're at. And we got some teachable moments out of it. And I think rather than, a lot of people would have said, I'll just flush that film and don't show it to them and just move on. We kind of went the other direction this time. We watched some of it and we sent some clips of it. because we did do some good things that will help us in our non-conference. Obviously shows us where we've got to go to be considered a Final Four contender, because that's how good I think UCLA is.
And curious on kind of that teaching moment, I was going to ask that kind of as a follow-up. When you did end up showing some of the tape, what are some of the things that you actually liked on it, score aside and all of that you can build off of for, the SEC schedule that comes up in a little over a month?
We made right decisions. Like, we would drive it when the help, we passed it on time and on target. We just didn't end up making the shot, but we've not been making the pass. We've either been turning it over or taking a bad shot. Well, this time we made the right pass, but we had 6-4 closing out on us instead of 5-11. And that's going to be there's only about 4 games on our schedule the rest of the year. They're going to be like that one. So the other ones, I think those shots will be a little easier to make. But we made the right decisions. We had great effort on a number of rebounds in which Janiah Barker just flew over the top. Everybody was yelling on the back, and she was not on the back. She was over our back, which is perfectly legal. It was perfectly legal, but it just looked bad because we were in the right spot, and here she comes ripping it off the front of the rim. So we were in right spots. We made some right decisions, and they didn't quit again. There was, even though the score was out of hand, they were still trying down the stretch to do the things we worked on. And that's me. That's what you're showing. Catch them doing right. The other stuff, show them this was the right thing to do. It just didn't work out in this particular instance. So it was way easier to find good film than I thought that it would be.
Awesome. And kind of back to the team and back to kind of the topic of the week, Izzy and Jenna continue to build up a really good chemistry with each other, it seems. They're finding each other. I know you've talked about it before, but, through that first 3 weeks of the season, how have you seen their relationship and what they can do on the court, of Izzy finding Jenna for an open shot? How have you seen that kind of evolve over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's getting better and better. And then I think it's starting to matriculate to some other people as well. I think we found Keats for some good looks. I think we got Jada Bates, 3 really nice catch and shoot opportunities, which she made the most of. So I think it's starting to kind of trickle down to other people as well. And I think people are starting to see the importance of it with each other, whether it's Jenna to Izzy or now maybe it's Kiki to Jada. They're starting to see, make the right basketball play. You don't, if you've drawn 2 people, you've done your job. Trust your teammate out there on the wing. Trust your teammate to make the next right decision. So I think Jenna and Izzy have been the example. I think they've also brought people along with them, which I think is the true form of leadership. Doing it yourself is one thing, but then being able to bring another person along with you, I think they've done that. I think the best thing about both of those kids is neither one of them would tell you they've played as well as they're capable. There's still room to play better, and they want to play better. Great players seek out information and feedback. Bad players hear it but are resistant to it, and really bad players don't even want to hear it. They're not that way. They take the brunt of our frustration when we do get frustrated, offensively and defensively. Those 2 take the brunt of it, and they handle it. They handle it. So I think when other teammates see that happening and see them continuing to improve and do it the way they do it, I think that's where you get fellowship. Leadership's important, but fellowship's just as important.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Hey, Mike, wanted to hop back in. Just watching the game on Sunday, it seemed like the shot selection from 3 was actually pretty good. They just weren't going in. Was that something you saw as well?
Yeah, there was 2. I think we attempted 39 or maybe 40. It was close to that. I kind of thought we'd probably have to go. We were going to have to make a bunch of 3s against them. We knew that. But so when we judged the quality of them, it was the highest we've had yet. So, obviously the circumstances, the defense that was on you can affect some of that, but I've gotten to where we judge them as soon as they leave their hand. That was a good shot. That was a good shot. That was a good shot. So, I think that will give our kids confidence going down the line, but understand as well when we're in practice and we're telling them, this is why we have the guys trying to block your shot and close out. And I know you get frustrated in practice, but we're trying to get you ready for the 5 or 6 games that we're going to play like this so that it will seem easy when it's not 6'4", long, athletic, fast, closing out to you and contesting. So, yeah, it wasn't, there was a little stretch there that, I felt like we competed even with one of the best teams. It just wasn't a long enough stretch, obviously. Did you catch the fact that the game clock didn't move for 4 consecutive trips?
I did not notice that.
We didn't either. It was in nobody in the gym did. Nobody noticed it. It sat still for 4 trips down the court.
First or second half?
First quarter.
Oh,
From the 8:12 mark, it just sat still for 4 trips.
I asked the guy who's doing the game clock, and he was like, "Yeah, well, the refs are supposed to start it, but they didn't, so I have to wait."
Yeah, no, that's the explanation we got too a little bit. But and here's the point: I didn't catch it either. Nobody did. It wasn't like it was just bizarre to me that a facility with that many people in it. But it was early in the game, and I think we've just gotten so used to it starting on time that we weren't looking at it. But so our minutes played ought to actually be a little higher than what they were, Fuller. But that's okay. You don't have to go back and restat it. But yeah, it was just a weird moment that again, in the number of games we've all been involved in cumulatively, I've never seen that happen in a college basketball game.
Wanted to ask real quick about Jada Bates. How have you seen her progress? I mean, you talked about you felt like you have more shot makers this year. She's leading you in 3-point percentage.
Yeah, we wouldn't have. She is a rare kid in that she shoots less percentage in practice and practice drills than she does in games. It's normally the other way around. A kid may make 60 or 70% of their shots, and then there's a slippage. This kid just is a gamer. She doesn't think about it. She's not involved. She doesn't get caught up in a lot of things. She shoots it when she's open. She tries to drive it when she's not. She tries to play as hard as she can. She is a really good example of what I think a lot of freshmen should really learn from her. Just come in and take it all in. Like, she doesn't get caught up in stuff, man. She is not caught up in half the stuff that most players on any campus in America are caught up in. So as a result, I think she plays freely. But yeah, no, it is uncanny. I've not had an athlete like her in all my years of coaching that in a game, and she's learning more and more. I'll tell you, I'm still not going to put her into situations I don't think that she's ready for yet, because I don't want to hurt her confidence. But this is a kid who obviously has an SEC athleticism. I think that she's going to develop an SEC athletic body. She loves the game. She works hard. She's an unbelievable good teammate. She is independent. She's no drama. She doesn't get involved. She doesn't create drama, and she doesn't associate herself with drama. She gets it. She's a great, takes care of her business. I just hope a lot of people are realizing that. And I think it will translate to success on the court, throughout this year and obviously in her future. But anybody that comes and watches us practice, she obviously jumps out to people. And I think as a result, the more comfortable she gets, the more minutes she plays. And like you were saying, her lineups are awfully good too.
Last thing I want to ask, we haven't talked to you yet about the signing class that y'all got last week. Just tell us a little bit about those 3 players.
I'll go in reverse order that we got them. Harmony Ware was a kid that we've seen play a bunch, but it was kind of understood in the circles that she was already knew what she was doing, where she was going. And there had been a coaching change there. Then it kind of got out that she knew where she was going again. So we didn't do a whole lot of recruiting. This is a kid that I didn't go one time to watch play. I didn't call one time on the phone. I didn't write a letter to on September 1st. I didn't fly all over the country to see her. We got a call. She actually played with Jada Bates during the summer, and we'd seen them play together, and they said, "Hey, do you realize that Harmony Ware is still available?" And we said, "We did not know that. What's the situation?" We got on the phone. We got on a Zoom. We made a connection to the family. We shared some information, and she wanted to be a Razorback. And that's not the way it happens all the time, but it happened the right way because she'd gone through her process. She knew everything about us. She is a SEC caliber athlete, mentality, everything about her is SEC. She's a powerful kid. She plays on the perimeter, can't play around the basket. She's a rare kid that's probably a little taller than she lists herself. Like when I stood next to her on the visit, I said, she's a little taller than what I thought she would be. So unbelievable family. Her support system drove up here for her visit. They were all here. I think she's going to be an awesome fit for us. Obviously, the other two were completely opposite of that. We recruited them for a long time. We had a lot of relationship with Ushi and with Bonnie. Two more internationals. Bonnie will be really easy to follow. She's playing for the Sydney Flames right now and the WNBL. She's one of the few underclass. She signed a non-pro contract to play for a professional team. Dynamic, combo guard, can score it, can deliver it, can play all 4 perimeter positions for us. Done it internationally at a really, really high level, now doing it professionally as well. Phenomenal kid, helped us recruit the other two. She and Ushi actually, Bonnie was the first to commit, so I did go out of order. But she and Ushi both played in the event in Phoenix where the best international students came to the United States, and they got to be on the same team, ironically. Ushi is going to remind you of Destiny Slocum a little bit. Just unbelievable in the mid-range, can shoot it, playmaker, can play all 4 of our perimeter positions. Has I don't know what it is yet. I don't know her well enough to know, but she's got something about her that just draws people to her. On her visit, there were people at the football game coming to her rather than us taking her to them. In the community, everywhere we went, she was just a magnet. And she's our type of kid. She is a worker. Our skill development, the conversations we were able to have with Coach Todd and her about what we're going to do with her in development. She obviously wants to represent our international team, just like all these kids do. They're here for development, and that's kind of what we're known for in that area. So I think that's why we've been attracted to these kids. And we were very lucky to get both of those kids when we did, because as other places started to not get their kids, their recruiting uptick was on the way up. So we were very fortunate to get them here, get them on campus. And the 2 of them were just blown away by everything going on our campus.
You've had a couple kids the past 2 years early enroll. Are any of them planning on coming in January, or will these be next year?
Yeah, we'll see. Ushi's playing over. She came over to play at a prep school. And I think she will stay and play, because she likes it there. She's around really good people that are going to develop her. They're high level people. So I think usually that comes down to circumstances on how they're going to be able to train where they're at. Would they be better suited to come here? They will both be graduate. They'll both be fully eligible to. But Bonnie will be playing professionally for her team, hopefully well into the Flames are always one of the most competitive teams in Australia. So they're getting training every single day. They're both excellent students who are going to come in with a number of college credits already. So there's really not an advantage like in other times that have been, but we're not going to close the door to anything. If something changes and they want to, we've certainly got the system in place. We've done it a few times now. It could be pretty seamless, but we'll do what's best for them and their development and with their national teams. They'll be kind of independently different, but we'll monitor that pretty much on a weekly basis.
Thanks, Mike.
Anything else?
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Coach.